The bustling office was alive with sounds of ringing phones, tapping keyboards, and distant chatter. Kosi sat at her desk, elegantly dressed in a fitted blue dress that displayed her curves. She had just finished the last spoonful of her lunch, steaming jollof rice with peppered chicken, ordered from her new favorite eatery. Satisfied, she leaned back in her chair, letting the flavors linger in her mouth. Then it started. A sharp pain jabbed her lower abdomen, making her wince. She shifted in her seat, thinking it was nothing, but within moments, another stab followed. Stronger this time. Beads of sweat formed on her forehead. Her stomach rumbled loudly, drawing the attention of her colleague, Faith. "Kosi, are you okay?" Faith asked, concern etched across her face. Kosi forced a smile. "I'm fine, just a little discomfort. Maybe I ate too fast." She waved it off, trying to focus on the documents before her. But the pain intensified, twisting her insides like a merciless fist. Dizziness washed over her, and the room spun. She stood up, clutching her stomach, but as she reached for the cabinet to steady herself, her vision blurred. The last thing she saw was Faith's panicked face before darkness swallowed her. Echoed through the office as Kosi collapsed to the floor. Screams erupted. Chairs scraped against the tiled floor as colleagues rushed to her side. Someone yelled for water. Another fumbled for their phone to call an ambulance. Faith knelt beside her, patting her face. "Kosi, Kosi, Kosi, wake up." Moments later, the paramedics had arrived. As they lifted Kosi onto a stretcher, whispers filled the air. "She is always eating from all these eateries. Who knows what she has been consuming?" Another said, "Exactly. I have never seen her bring homemade food." Faith swallowed hard, watching as they wheeled Kosi away. Something told her this was more than just an upset stomach. It was a warning, a consequence waiting to unfold. Kosi's childhood had been one of privilege and comfort, but it lacked one essential ingredient: home-cooked meals. Her father, a successful businessman, was constantly traveling, closing deals across cities and even beyond the country. Her mother, a determined and ambitious woman, ran one of the biggest clothing stores in the bustling central market. She was respected, admired, and always busy. With both parents occupied, the responsibility of looking after her three younger siblings fell on Kosi's shoulders. She was only 10 when it all started, left to ensure her siblings were ready for school, got their lunch money, and stayed safe. Each morning, before rushing off to school, their mother would place crisp naira notes on the dining table. "Use this to buy lunch for yourselves," she would say before dashing out, her phone already ringing with business calls. This routine continued even after school hours. No warm meals greeted them at home. Instead, Kosi would gather her siblings, and they would walk to the food vendors lined up along the streets, picking their favorites: rice, beans, moi moi, or noodles. It became normal, almost second nature, to eat out every single day. Unlike some of her friends who learned to cook by watching their mothers, Kosi never got the chance. Their mother was rarely in the kitchen, and when she was, it was for quick, unmemorable meals. The convenience of eating out became a way of life, deeply ingrained in Kosi's routine. By the time she was a teenager, cooking felt like an unnecessary skill. After all, why stress over pots and pans when food was always just a few steps away? But what seemed like a small habit in childhood would soon shape her entire life, leading her down a path she never saw coming. University life was a dream come true for Kosi. She had worked hard to secure admission into one of the top universities in the country. And now she was finally on her own, free from the responsibilities of looking after her younger siblings. The campus buzzed with energy, and Kosi embraced every bit of it, except for one thing: the kitchen. While other students worried about budgeting for groceries and cooking their own meals, Kosi never saw the need. The university cafeteria and nearby food vendors became her new best friends. From steaming hot jollof rice to spicy suya, from fresh smoothies to sizzling fried yam, everything she craved was just a short walk away. She had the money. Her parents always sent her enough. So why stress over cooking? Her roommates often gathered in the common kitchen, experimenting with new recipes, laughing as they struggled to get the seasoning right. They invited Kosi to join them, but she always declined. "You guys are wasting your time," she would say with a smirk. Why struggle when food is just a phone call away? Her favorite pastime was scrolling through food delivery apps, trying out different restaurants. She became so accustomed to this lifestyle that she barely noticed how much money she was spending on food daily. But to Kosi, it didn't matter. Eating out wasn't just a habit, it was a necessity. By the time she graduated, Kosi had never cooked a proper meal in her life. She walked across the stage in her elegant dress, collecting her degree with pride, ready to take on the world. She had the education, the confidence, and the charm. As far as she was concerned, nothing could stop her. Little did she know, life outside the university would soon test her in ways she never expected. Life after university felt like a fresh start for Kosi. She landed a well-paying job in one of the country's biggest cities, a place filled with endless opportunities, bright lights, and high-class restaurants. Moving into a sleek apartment in a modern estate, she felt she had finally arrived. Her new job was demanding but exciting. The fast-paced environment suited her perfectly. Colleagues admired her confidence, her ability to get things done, and of course, her impeccable fashion sense. But if there was one thing Kosi never compromised on, it was her love for eating out. She had the list of best restaurants in the city, from fancy rooftop dining spots to cozy food joints tucked away in street corners. It was at work that she met Chizara, or Zara as she preferred to be called. Zara was the kind of woman who carried herself with effortless grace. She was beautiful, smart, and unlike Kosi, extremely industrious and good in the kitchen. She ran an online business on the side, had multiple skills, and was always eager to learn new things. The two women quickly became friends. Zara admired Kosi's confidence, while Kosi enjoyed Zara's easygoing nature. They started hanging out after work, going to events and shopping together. However, it didn't take long for Zara to notice something peculiar about Kosi. She never cooked. One evening, after a long day at work, Kosi and Zara decided to have dinner together at Kosi's place. "I'll just order something," Kosi said, scrolling through her phone. Zara raised an eyebrow. "Why don't we cook instead? I can make something quick." Kosi let out a small laugh. "Cook? That's too stressful. Let's just order from the Golden Spoon. Their grilled fish is amazing." Zara hesitated, but didn't argue. She watched as Kosi happily placed her order, oblivious to her concern. Over the next few weeks, Zara saw how deeply Kosi relied on food vendors. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, everything came from an eatery. Curious, she finally asked, "Kosi, do you even know how to cook?" Kosi rolled her eyes. "Zara, I don't have time for that. Cooking is outdated. This is why restaurants exist." Zara smiled patiently. "It's not outdated, Kosi. It's a life skill. You should at least know the basics." Kosi scoffed. "Please, I don't need to. I have money, and as long as I can afford good food, I see no reason to stress myself." Zara sighed. "Look, I can teach you. Cooking isn't that hard. You just need a little practice. But instead of appreciating the offer, Kosi's expression darkened. Zara, I didn't ask for your advice. Why are you acting like my mother? This is my life. Mind your business. The words stung, and for a brief moment, an awkward silence filled the room. Zara nodded, forcing a smile. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. Kosi shrugged, already dismissing the conversation. It's fine, let's just eat. Zara never brought up the topic again, but deep down, she couldn't shake the feeling that one day, Kosi would regret her choices. The music was loud, the atmosphere electric, and the party was in full swing. Kosi and Zara had been invited to a friend's birthday celebration at an upscale lounge in the heart of the city. The venue was packed with young professionals, entrepreneurs, and socialites, all dressed to impress. Kosi, stunning in a sleek red dress that hugged her curves, sipped her cocktail as she swayed light to the music. Zara nudged her playfully. Looks like someone is checking you out. Kosi followed Zara's gaze and met the eyes of a tall, well-built man standing across the room. He was effortlessly handsome, dressed in a fitted black suit that exuded wealth and confidence. He gave her a small, knowing smile before making his way toward them. Hi, I'm Kelechi, he introduced himself, his deep voice smooth like honey. Kosi, she replied, flashing her best smile. Kelechi was charming, intelligent, and successful. He was a business tycoon who had made a name for himself in the real estate industry. They talked, laughed, and before the night ended, he asked for her number. From that moment on, Kelechi pursued Kosi with unwavering affection. He took her to the finest restaurants, surprised her with luxurious gifts, and treated her like a queen. Kosi felt like she was living in a fairy tale. She had dated before, but no man had ever adored her the way Kelechi did. He made her feel special, loved, and valued. Every date was extravagant. Private dining experiences, weekend getaways, and shopping sprees. It was everything Kosi had ever dreamed of. One evening, a few months into their relationship, Kelechi decided to surprise Kosi with a visit to her apartment. He had just returned from a business trip and wanted to spend quality time with her. Babe, he said, sinking into the couch beside her. I have been craving a home-cooked meal all week. Kosi's stomach twisted slightly, but she forced a smile. We can order from the new restaurant you like. Kelechi chuckled, shaking his head. No, I want a real home-cooked meal. Let's go to the market and get some fresh ingredients, and you can cook for us. Kosi froze. Her heart pounded in her chest. I don't think that's necessary, she said hesitantly. Why not? Kelechi asked, raising an eyebrow. It will be fun. I'll drive us to the market. We can cook together. Kosi swallowed hard. She had spent her entire life avoiding situations like this. She quickly thought of an excuse. Babe, we don't need to stress. We can just order something delicious. Kelechi's smile faded slightly. Kosi, I don't want takeout. I want a home-cooked meal. Just something simple. She took a deep breath, knowing she couldn't escape the truth any longer. Kelechi, I don't know how to cook. The silence in the room was thick. Kelechi blinked, his expression unreadable. Wait, what? I can't cook, she repeated, looking away. He stared at her, clearly taken aback. You mean you don't like cooking, or you actually don't know how? Kosi sighed. I never learned. I grew up eating out, and I've always ordered food. Cooking just never interested me. Kelechi leaned back, rubbing his jaw. He was visibly surprised, maybe even disappointed. He had assumed that someone as elegant and put together as Kosi would at least know how to make a basic meal. After a long pause, he picked up his car keys and stood up. I need some time to process this, he said, his voice calm but distant. Kelechi, please don't make a big deal out of this, Kosi said, trying to reach out for his hand. He pulled away gently. It's not just about cooking, Kosi. It's about effort. It's about knowing how to take care of yourself and your home. I need to think. And with that, he walked out, leaving Kosi sitting in stern silence. For the first time, she realized that maybe, just maybe, her refusal to learn how to cook was more than just a preference. It was a problem. Kosi laid on her bed, staring at her phone for the 100th time that day. No missed calls, no messages, nothing from Kelechi. It had been 3 days. He had walked out of her apartment, and the silence was killing her. She tried calling, texting, even leaving voice notes, but he remained unreachable. Her heart ached. She had never imagined that something as small as cooking could shake the foundation of their relationship. She replayed their conversation over and over again in her mind. The way he had looked at her, shocked, disappointed, haunted her. For the first time, she began to wonder, was cooking really that important? Was she wrong to think it didn't matter? Zara, on the other hand, had been watching Kosi closely. She had noticed her friend's sudden change in mood, her loss of appetite, her distracted expressions, the way she kept checking her phone. One evening, as they sat in Kosi's apartment watching a movie, Zara finally spoke up. Kosi, what's going on with you? She asked, her eyes filled with concern. Kosi forced a smile. Nothing, Zara. I'm fine. Zara wasn't confused. Fine? You've barely eaten. You're always lost in thought, and you've been clutching your phone like it holds the meaning of life. Something is wrong. Kosi hesitated, staring at the screen, but not really seeing it. She wanted to tell Zara to pour her heart out, but she couldn't bring herself to do it. Zara had warned her before about her eating habits, about learning basic skills, but she had ignored her. If she told her now, wouldn't she just laugh and say, I told you so? I said I'm fine, Kosi repeated, a little too sharply. Zara sighed and leaned back. Okay, if you say so, but whenever you're ready to talk, I'm here. Kosi nodded, but deep down, she felt more alone than ever. She wasn't ready to admit her mistake, not yet. But one thing was certain, she missed Kelechi terribly, and she was willing to do whatever it took to get him back, even if it meant confronting the one thing she had avoided all her life, learning to cook. Days turned into weeks, and the silence from Kelechi remained. At first, Kosi had held on to hopes, checking her phone every few minutes, expecting his name to pop up on the screen. But as time passed, the painful truth settled in. He wasn't coming back. Heartbroken and frustrated, Kosi did what she always did when emotions overwhelmed her. She drowned herself in food. She went back to her old routine, convincing herself that eating out was easier, stress-free, and exactly what she needed to move on. One afternoon, while scrolling through Instagram, she stumbled upon a post about a newly opened eatery in town. The pictures were stunning. The restaurant had a sophisticated ambience, sleek furniture, and an elegant touch that made it look expensive. But what caught Kosi's attention the most was the comment section. Best food in town and so affordable. I can't believe such a classy place has such cheap food. 10 over 10. Recommended. Another said, delicious meals, quick service, and a perfect spot for food lovers. Kosi's curiosity was piqued. A beautiful restaurant with cheap food? Sounded too good to be true, but she decided to give it a try. That evening, she arrived at the eatery and was immediately impressed. The golden chandeliers cast a warm glow over the room. The jazz music playing in the background gave it a luxurious feel, and the waiters were dressed like they worked in a five-star hotel. It looked expensive, yet the menu proved otherwise. The prices were shockingly low. She ordered a plate of coconut rice with grilled chicken and a chilled glass of fruit juice. When the food arrived, it smelled divine, and the first bite sent her taste buds into overdrive. It was delicious, perfectly seasoned and well presented. Wow, she muttered, savoring the flavors. I think I just found my new kitchen. And just like that, Kosi made the restaurant her go-to spot. She ate there every evening after work and placed orders for lunch at her office. The food was tasty, cheap and convenient, just the way she liked it. With her heart still aching from Kelechi's silence, Kosi found solace in the comfort of food. What she didn't realize was that this new obsession would soon lead her into a deeper problem, one that would shake her life in ways she never expected. It was a week after Kosi found her new kitchen. She sat at her office desk, elegantly dressed in a fitted blue dress that accentuated her curves. She had just finished the last spoonful of her lunch, steaming jollof rice with peppered chicken, ordered from her new favorite eatery. Satisfied, she leaned back in her chair, letting the flavors linger in her mouth. Then it started. A sharp pain jabbed her lower abdomen, making her wince. She shifted in her seat, thinking it was nothing, but within moments, another stab followed, stronger this time. Beads of sweat formed on her forehead. Her stomach rumbled loudly, drawing the attention of her colleague Faith. Kosi, are you okay? Faith asked. Concern edged across her face. Kosi forced a smile. I'm fine. Just a little discomfort. Maybe I ate too fast. She waved it off, trying to focus on the document before her. But the pain intensified, twisting her insides like a merciless fist. Dizziness washed over her, and the room spun. She stood up clutching her stomach, but as she reached for the cabinet to steady herself, her vision blurred. The last thing she saw was Faith's panicked face before darkness swallowed her. A loud thud echoed through the office as Kosi collapsed to the floor. Screams erupted. Chairs scraped against the tiled floor as her colleagues rushed to her side. Someone yelled for water. Another fumbled for their phone to call an ambulance. Faith knelt beside her, patting her face. Kosi! Kosi! Kosi, wake up! Moments later, the paramedics arrived. As they lifted Kosi onto a stretcher, whispers filled the air. She is always eating from all these eateries. Who knows what she has been consuming? Another said, exactly. I have never seen her bring homemade food. Kosi's eyelids fluttered open to the sterile white ceiling of the hospital. A dull ache throbbed in her stomach, and the faint beeping of machines filled the silence. She tried to sit up, but winced as pain shot through her abdomen. A soft sigh made her turn her head. Faith sat beside her, eyes filled with relief and concern. You scared us, Kosi. How are you feeling? Kosi groaned. Like I got hit by a truck. What happened? Faith hesitated before speaking. Food poisoning. The doctor said you ingested harmful bacteria. Kosi, this could have been worse. Kosi's heart pounded as the weight of fate's words sank in. She had always dismissed concern about her eating habits, but now, lying weak in a hospital bed, doubt crept into her mind. Memories flooded her thoughts. Her childhood, the aroma of meals she never learned to cook, the convenience of eateries that had become her lifeline. Her parents had been so busy, always leaving money for food, until eating out became second nature. She never imagined it would lead to this. Fate squeezed her hand. You need to start being careful. Maybe it's time to rethink your lifestyle. Kosi swallowed hard. For the first time, she wasn't so sure she could ignore the warning signs anymore. Despite the scare, Kosi quickly slipped back into her old habits. The hospital visits had shaken her, but the thought of changing her routine felt overwhelming. Cooking seemed like an impossible task, one she wasn't ready to take on. After being discharged, she returned to her well-furnished apartment in the heart of the city. The aroma of air freshener greeted her as she entered, but the kitchen remained pristine as ever, untouched by the flames of a real meal. Her phone buzzed. It was Zara. She had been concerned, as she and Kosi had not spoken for a while. She felt she had been too hard on her friend after the food poisoning issue. And what better way to mend broken bridges than treating Kosi to a fine dining? Hey babe, want to grab dinner? I found a new restaurant, Zara said. Guys, thank you for watching till this point. Please like, subscribe. Yes, please subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. Subscribe and turn on your post notifications so that when the part 2 drops, you'll get notified. The part 2 drops shortly. So like and then subscribe to be part of the family. Turn on your post notification. Thank you.